Are you looking for revival? Are you looking for God to come and restore your life from the ashes of the pit that you may be in right now? I know I've been there a few times. I've been there at the very bottom with 85 cents to my name and not know what I was going to eat the next day. If you've been there, this psalm just might be for you, and we might just be able to learn a few lessons from the sons of Korah as they seek God's revival in their lives and in their nation. It reads, Psalms 85, Lord, you are favorable to our land. You restore the fortress of of Jacob. You gave the iniquities of your people. You cover all their sins. You withdrew all your wrath. You turned from your heart's anger. Restore us again, O God of our salvation, and put away your indignation towards us. Will you be angry with us forever? Will you prolong your anger to all generations? Will you not revive us again, that your people may rejoice in you? Show your steadfast love, O Lord, and grant us your salvation. Let me hear what God the Lord will speak, for he will speak peace to his people, to his saints, and let them not be turned back to folly. Surely his salvation is near to those who fear him, that glory may dwell in our land. Steadfast love and faithfulness meet, righteousness and peace kiss each other. Faithfulness springs up from the ground, and righteousness looks down from the sky. Yes, the Lord will give what is good, and our land will yield its increase. Righteousness will go forth before him and make his footsteps a way. Are you looking for revival in your life, in your neighborhood, in your nation? Some of you are tuning in from the Philippines. I know because they gave me a list of countries that are tuning in. I know people from the Philippines are watching this video. People from South Africa, people from Kenya, people from the United States are watching this video right now. And you're wondering, where's the revival? Will my nation, will my neighborhood, will my family, will I myself be restored again? Will God's anger end? It can feel like God is angry with us when bad things happen, when the devil comes against us and says, Hey, God, if you can just strike Job, he'll slap you and curse you to your face. And God's like, Hey, you can do whatever you want to my servant, just don't kill him. And that's what it feels like sometimes with us. We feel like everything is against us. Nothing's working out. But there's some hope and there's some truth. In the midst of all the pain, in the midst of all the sorrow, we have hope and we have truth in Christ Jesus. We have hope that one day God will speak again, that the 400 years of silence that the Israelites faced in Egypt when they were slaves, and the 400 years of silence that the Jewish people faced, in that 400 years before Jesus arrives on scene. Looks like this 400 years of just silence, God did not speak. But we have this hope that, like in verse 8, it says, Let me hear what God the Lord will speak. For he will speak peace to his people, to his saints. But let them not be turned back to folly. When God speaks, he speaks peace. He speaks truth. He speaks a new way, a way of righteousness, a way of salvation. Another thing that we can take is that his salvation is near to those who fear him, who respect him. That word fear means respect. It means to honor. It's like this idea that a child would fear, would respect their mom and dad. A child will respect their parents, and we should respect God, for he is God. And his glory will dwell in our lives, in our land, just like it says in verse 9, that glory may dwell in our land. When we choose to fear the Lord, his glory will come down, just like it came down on the tabernacle, just like it came down on Mount uh, Sinai, if I said that right. Mount Zion, Mount Sinai, the mountain that Moses was on. The glory of God came down. If I remember, Sinai, or it wasn't Zion. It was, what was that name of the mountain? It's in the top of my tongue, and I'm looking at the word in my head. I can't think of what the name of it is, but the glory of God will come down when we choose to fear him. It will come down on our lives, on our nation, on our neighborhood, on our city, on our jobs. But it starts with the fear of God. In verse 10, it says that steadfast love and faithfulness, they meet righteousness and peace, kiss each other. It's like this relationship going on, a love relationship, a relationship that righteousness, that steadfast love and faithfulness, they cannot be separated. You cannot have steadfast love and faithfulness apart from each other. You either don't have steadfast love and faithfulness, or you do have steadfast love and faithfulness, but you cannot say, I have steadfast love over here and no faithfulness over there, because steadfast love means that you have faithfulness. Righteousness and peace kiss each other. You cannot have peace without righteousness, and you cannot have righteousness without peace. What does that mean? What does that mean? And we live in a society nowadays where just about 90% of women will not take accountability for their actions. They blame men for everything. They'll go into these relationships, and 6 months prior, they're already decided that they're going to break up with the guy that they're with, or they're going to do a divorce scenario. But they won't tell the guy. She thinks that he's supposed to already know. And if you're a guy, you know what I'm talking about. This kind of stuff is not faithful. And honestly, if a woman does that, she now puts herself in a position of being unfaithful. So guys, if you're in a relationship with a woman and she plays these kind of games with you, and at the end she just walks away, let her go. She's an unfaithful woman. Steadfast love and faithfulness meet. They cannot exist apart from each other. If you want a successful marriage, you have to have steadfast love and faithfulness together in that marriage. If you're married, you know that I'm telling you the truth. They go hand in hand. If you're married, you know just from being married that righteousness and peace go hand in hand. And what does that mean? Righteousness and peace in a marriage context. If righteousness is the foundation of your marriage. I mean, God should be the foundation of your marriage, and God is righteous, right? But you put God down as your foundation, and then you put righteousness, and you build your marriage up with righteousness. Think about this. There's going to be a whole lot of peace in that marriage, a whole lot of peace in that um relationship. Now, you might not always not fight with each other. We still fight and wrestle with God, even with God at times. But you're going to have that peace in that marriage because of what the marriage foundation is on. No matter what storm comes in, no matter what flood happens, no matter what scenario or situation, you know that righteousness is the foundation of this relationship. As Christians, we are in a relationship with God. And what does that mean? It means that we should be living our life, a life of righteousness, a life of steadfast love, a life of faithfulness. These things cannot exist outside of our relationship with God. You cannot have a relationship with God and then continue to be unfaithful, continue to not have steadfast love, continue to not have a life marked by righteousness, continue to have a life that's not marked by peace. Don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. When we are faithless, God is faithful. But it should not be that way. We should not be automatically thinking that, oh, well, I'm saved by grace and not by the law. And so I'm just going to live my life however way I want to live it. Honestly, if that's your mindset, you don't know God. He hasn't come into your heart to change your mindset enough to change your behaviors in life to point back to Christ. So if you want revival, do you want revival? It starts with fearing God, knowing who He is, and He'll bring His glory down on your life, your city, your church, upon your country, upon whatever your job. He'll bring His glory down upon your family, and when that happens, get ready. Get ready for steadfast love and faithfulness to meet. Get ready for righteousness and peace to meet and to kiss. It says faithfulness springs up from the water, righteousness looks down from the sky. I'm thinking it says springs up from. Did I just say water? Springs up from the water. It says faithfulness springs up from the ground, and righteousness looks down from the sky. So what I'm thinking is of water, because what's in the ground? Water, and then the sky water. So I'm thinking about groundwater. I'm thinking about when it rains. But either way, the sons of Korah are reflecting upon how faithfulness and righteousness, they cannot exist without each other. Steadfast love, faithfulness, they meet. And then he says righteousness and peace, they kiss. And then the next verse, he says faithfulness springs up from the ground. Righteousness looks down from the sky to the ground. So now he says righteousness, they cannot exist without each other, is what he's saying. That's what the psalmist is saying. Verse 12, yes, Lord. Yes, the Lord will give what is good, and our land will yield its increase. Righteousness will go before him and make his footsteps away. So do you want revival? If you want revival, it does not start with a Billy Graham crusade, which maybe it did for you 20 or 30 years ago. But if you want revival in such a way that it starts at your home, in your family, in your church, in your in your job, in your nation, it starts with the fear of God. It starts with placing God exactly where God belongs, on his throne, and understanding who you are versus who he is. Second, when we do that, we will experience the glory of God coming down from heaven onto our lives. And third, when that happens, get ready for God to not just come down onto our lives, but come and live inside of us and change us from the inside out, giving us the ability through His Spirit to live lives of steadfast love, of righteousness, faithfulness, and peace. To live lives so set apart and different from the rest of the world. No matter what storm comes, no matter what chaos happens, no matter what insane pandemic happens in the world, no matter what, God is living in us and He will shape us, prepare us. And what does it say? Make our land yield its increase. He'll prosper us. Maybe not financially, maybe just spiritually, but somehow He'll prosper His people. He'll revive us. He'll restore us. But none of that can happen unless we do one thing. We put God back on the throne and we get back on our knees.